It is that time, ladies and gentlemen, for a Tesla stock update. We have all of your breaking news today, including Dan Ives. This said on Friday, Tesla's AI capabilities alone are a $1 trillion opportunity. Tesla stock doesn't even hit a $1 trillion market cap until about $310 per share. But more on that in just a moment. Jordan Peterson says Elon Musk has a 1 in a billion intelligence level. Tesla officially extends their 5-year 0% interest loan incentive in China to November 30th. This is really just the cost of doing business right now. If you want to sell vehicles, if you want to literally move cars, you have to incentivize, and that's just because the consumer is in a bad place, because of inflation, and because of just bad monetary policy regimes. Now, I give the Fed credit for doing their part in what was a bad fiscal policy that they were also fighting, but they were late to raise rates. Now rates have had to stay higher for longer, and even in America, that has an effect in other parts of the world. So it's true in China, in the US, in Europe, Tesla has to incentivize to sell vehicles. But importantly, Tesla was able to heavily incentivize all of last quarter's deliveries, and margins still came in much better than expected. That's a big story for Tesla right now. The company that is able to sell vehicles and do it profitably and grow their profitability is going to be rewarded for that. And that's exactly what we've seen with Tesla's earnings last week. Hence, on Thursday was an almost 22% gain for Tesla. In fact, think about this. Thursday's 21.92% gain for Tesla was the second best day Tesla has ever had before. The only day that has been better or bigger than 22% upside was in 2013. So yeah, it's been a very long time since you have seen something like this. And not to mention, on Friday, Tesla stock went up 3.34%. In total, almost gaining over $180 billion in market cap in 48 hours of trading. I think it's safe to say something just flipped for Tesla. Tesla stock is now back to some of its prior glorier days. I don't want to say it's back to its glory days because things are not perfect, but you're back to a better environment for Tesla. Elon Musk said this about Tesla stock's performance. He says, quote, "Yeah, it was a good week. The stock market is wild. I think Warren Buffett has a lot of good sayings. One is, having a publicly traded company is like having someone stand outside your house and yell house prices all day, and it's still the same house." And that's Elon Musk saying, we just focus on Tesla. We continue to do well at Tesla. Nothing dramatically changes from day to day. And at some points, the markets realize that more. The good work that Tesla's doing, and Tesla stock has good weeks, like we seen last week. Texas held a frunk or treat event at Giga Texas in the parking lot, and they are showing off the Cybercab, which I think is a pretty good opportunity to do so. Now take a listen to what Dan Ives just said about Tesla stock on Friday, about a $1 trillion opportunity for Tesla.
A spotlight on Tesla, which had blowout earnings. The stock surge had its best day in over 11 years. And if you look back to the year 2013, there was a day where it was up 24%, a month later up 47%, and a month later, 3 months later, another 141%. So does more gains beget more gains? Let's ask Dan Ives, Managing Director, Equity Research at Wedbush Securities. Good to see you, Dan Ives. Some of your thoughts on the stock moves, which have been monstrous this week, can it continue to move higher?
It's just starting, because what I view is they needed to ultimately show that margin story, that it was going to rebound, and we saw just massive margin rebound in terms of for Tesla. And it's all about deliveries into next year. 20 to 30% growth, much higher than anyone expected, even the bulls like us. I think it's get the popcorn out, this is just the stage to this company being over $1 trillion market cap.
I mean, someone when I was asking about the competitive landscape said there's a monstrous difference between Tesla and Lucid and Rivian. Would you say that's right? I mean, not even in the same sentence?
We're talking Mahomes compared to other quarterbacks, right? I mean, this is just a separation from a scale and scope. They're going to have 2 million deliveries next year. I mean, a lot of these you're talking about 100, 200K. What Tesla's able to do right now it's expanding that product line. You'll see Semi, you'll see Roadster, of course, Cybertruck's out there. Sub $30,000 vehicle, we think, going into next year. That's ultimately going to be the key as this all ultimately plays out. And look, you go into this, me and you have talked about this the last few weeks. New York City cab drivers barraging Tesla into this quarter. They showed the margins, they showed the delivery, and I do believe the robo-taxi takeaways was the wrong one that the bears came away with. This will be an autonomous and AI story over the coming years.
Kathy Wood over at ARK Invest sold 77,000 shares. The closing price was $260.48, valued at over $20 million. Mistake, taking some profits now? I mean, how quickly does this stock grow? Was that not a good move on her part?
Look, Kathy and ARK, one of the biggest supporters of Tesla, right? So, they'll, for the long term, if you look at their model on robo-taxis and where this is all heading, it just speaks to our broader point. This is the most undervalued AI play in the market. And I think what we saw with this quarter was a huge step in the right direction because of margins. Because we could talk about AI, autonomous all day long. Comes down to margins. You couldn't see those team margins. So the 200 BIP improvement now going to 20% next year. But look, 20 or 30% delivery growth. If they even hit the bottom end of that range, then this is a stock with a 3 in front of it.
Yeah, I started to hear some good things about the batteries growth, the Cybertruck margins. Those seem to be good news. There was some impatience pertaining to full self-driving at the end of 2026 because is that hogwash? Does that get pushed back to 2027? Is that okay for you?
To me, trying to look at 6 months, if it's first half 26, second half 26, I think it's splitting hairs in terms of where this is all going. Because the autonomous and AI story, I believe the AI story is worth $1 trillion alone to Tesla. So if it moves out 6 months, it doesn't necessarily move the needle for us. In the near term, it's really about coming out with a sub 30K vehicle. I think that's first half of next year. Margins rebounding, delivery growth rebounding, especially in China. And then you start to look at all the growth levers that could happen here. That's why if you look at the last 24 hours, the bears, they're going back into those hibernation mood.
Elon Musk has shown his political cards. And what do you tell the Democrats? Should they sort of put their political views aside and still believe in Tesla?
Look, it's a tightrope. Clearly, it's been a controversial issue, but I think in terms of U.S., despite all the noise, it's been limited from a demand perspective in terms of the impact. Now, I'm not saying going forward there can be some, a little nervousness on that, but the reality is if you produce the best vehicles in the world for EVs, consumers will buy them. And I think we saw that with Cybertruck, right?
Yeah. What is your price target on Tesla, Dan?
300, and then bull case 350.
300, 350. In the Cyber Cab, I think, the timeline was a little vague. There's no cheaper model. People were a little disappointed with that, but there's definitely this feeling that there was some good news. We saw the stock surge, and as I said, there were times where this stock, once it surged, continued to do so the next month and then the following 3 months.
Okay, let's just be honest. I don't think we've ever heard a better interview from Dan Ives. That was pretty strong. He says that AI alone is a $1 trillion opportunity. Now, it's also, I think, important to point out, the last time in 2013, Tesla had a day like we seen on Thursday, the stock continued to move higher. by 141% over the coming 3 months. Does that happen again? Well, I would say history does not always repeat itself, but it usually does rhyme, meaning that the upward trajectory, the momentum is definitely here for Tesla. The actual percentage and what transpires is going to vary. That's going to change, right? Tesla's a much different company now than 2013. But I would expect further upside just based on relative history of these kind of performance days. You have to remember there's a lot of people that bet against Tesla. And when you bet against Tesla and then Tesla has these huge days, a lot of people are caught off sides. As we explained in the prior video, there's been over $4.5 billion worth of losses in just the last 48 hours. That's bad, okay? Let alone, some of the shorts that were shorting this thing even recently in the 180s, 190s, low 200s. You're starting to get substantial losses in those short positions. Again, if Tesla continues this upwards momentum, you're going to see more shorts covering on those short positions, and that will continue to drive Tesla stock higher. Let alone Tesla and Nvidia are like stocks in and of their own rights as far as option activity. Option activity, most of it takes place in two stocks, Nvidia and Tesla, every single day. Okay. You're going to get, and you have seen, a lot of very bullish option positions heading into Tesla over the past couple of days. And I think you're going to continue to see that. You can see on Friday, you had 345 different orders totaling $240 million with a positive order value of 68%. On Thursday, we had a huge day for option activity, 831 different trades totaling $1.1 billion with a positive order value of 89%. Keep in mind, these are hedge funds and institutions that don't tend to nearly be as bullish as retail investors. So if they were 68% positive on Friday, really add retail to that and you're pushing 75, probably 80%. On Thursday, you were 89% positive from hedge funds and institutions. You were probably pushing 95% or more bullish option flows in Tesla. And that is powerful to push the stock higher. Now, we will talk about my expectations for this upcoming week and Tesla stock in the next video, so stay tuned to the channel for that one. In the meantime, let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Stay safe out there. I will see you in the next one.